Excuse me.
That's right, man. We're in the studio. Do you want to come and record? We're doing an EP. So
and were they successful at the time?
No, not at all. No. Not at all. No. They just got this little deal with this guy who was deciding to put their records out. And he said, obviously, everyone being naive, we'll put your record out, pay for a big studio down in Sussex somewhere, residential, and we'll record you. And he did. He paid for them, paid for this track. And I haven't got a copy, unfortunately, but it just came out on white label, and a track called Be My God. And then Justine calls me up a few weeks later and saying, why haven't you turned up for rehearsals? And again, I'm in 3 bands. So it kind of just sort of fell apart. But I ended up hanging out with them all more, and I ended up living with Matt. Actually, we shared a flat together, the bass player, for quite a while. And then it was so that's kind of how that sort of process happened.
So it really was the dawning of Britpop.
It was the dawn of Britpop, yeah. And what I did though is I joined a band called Spitfire. You played the Spitfires earlier, which is quite a similar sort of sound, ironically. You know what I mean? But they were based in Brighton, so I used to spend a lot of that. Was like my first experiences of coming down to Brighton, hanging out that lot, And what happened was they ended up supporting Blur, who Justine was then seeing, Damon. So we kind of sort of knocked around together, and then Justine was like, "Should we get a band together?" And that was the sort of the dawn
thing in Fulton Park.
She'd left the Suede. Right, okay. She'd left the Suede camp. And started. Damon had moved in, and they as Spitfire on tour supporting Blur on their Leisure tour. Would be the first album, Leisure tour. We decided to talk about getting Elastica together. So that's how
Elastica came out of Suede.
Sort of, yeah, you could say that. Well, you could 2 ways. I could have still been in Suede, or it could have been in Elastica. So I think I did all right. I think I made a good decision,
And so, when with Elastica, then you just started rehearsing, and like, what was the formative years there?
Well, the early days was basically we were going to do. Justine had got a few songs. 3 songs really, and the idea was we were just going to go into EMI studios and just demo them. We got offered some free time, which was very nice, because getting in the studio in the early 90s would cost money, even just today, So we were just going to demo them, and the way it worked was Damon played bass for a bit, for a few rehearsals. And then we were going to get a mate to play some guitar. And then before we knew it, the same process of the Enemy thing happening, we got a friend recommended Annie from Brighton to play bass. And then we found Donna to play guitar. So within a few weeks, we kind of actually got a full band and half a dozen songs together. You keeping to that sort of punk ethic.
Yeah. And I think it works though, doesn't it?
It does.
Keeps you on your toes.
It does. Yeah. We didn't gig for ages, but we just kind of we just rehearsed, and it was
And was there a bit of a vibe building up about you? Or?
There was a little bit of a buzz happening. Obviously, it was a word on the street thing of obviously Damon was being in Blur, who had just been really successful with their first album. And Justine, Suede has started to do really well. Justine's connection to that way, so people were kind of a little starting to get quite interested. Yeah, for sure. But the thing is, everyone was trying to be quite clever. I think quite art schooly, and we just sort of listened to the art schooly sort of side of it. We kind of just we all had similar sort of tastes at that, going back in our record collections instead of trying to find sort of new things out there. We were listening to sort of digging out all the old Blondie records and the Jam again, and Specials and all that sort of moddy stuff, and that's the birth of Britpop really. And then but one band, Wire, was the sort of main band that we kind of really hooked onto, which no one seemed to be sort of brought back to life at the time. And we were just sort of, we thought that was an easy way of writing music. It was all pretty 3 chords, pretty simple, lots of space in it, and and really simple arrangements, like 2 minute pop songs.
Well, they came out of punk, didn't they? But they weren't punk at all. They were sort of shunned by the punk crowd because they were too, not arty, but suppose I don't know how to describe them. Yeah, well, you just
Well,
describe them, but
yeah. I mean,
you can't really describe their sound as such, can you?
no.
They're not,
I mean,
they're
it was
not in a
sort
pigeonhole.
No, it was just kind of quite sort of spiky and angular, really.
Yeah.
And I think
So that was the punk background of it.
yeah, and we kind of like
trying to
that.
be different.
It didn't
that
have
was
to.
what true punk was meant to be as well.
I think so.
Experimental, wasn't it?
I think so. I think so. Yeah. I
You
mean,
gonna play
they're all off painting and stuff these days, aren't they? You know what I mean? So they're all going back to their art school roots, as it was. But yeah, there was something. Sorry.
Play one of those.
Yeah, let's play one. I'll put Being Sucked In again. I just this kind of repetitive sort of sort of sound I like. So we'll give that a go.
You're listening to a live broadcast of Pelirocco Platters on RadioReverb.com 97.2 FM, and Justin Welch is here choosing some music, and that was the wonderful Wire and the experimental sounds. I mean, quite an influence, you were saying.
Well, yeah,
along the
it's
way.
just I think also just the fact that they were using pretty simple guitar lines, you know. I mean, one string stuff, but also the effects and things. It was a way of it. It was the punk ethic, you know. We didn't have to sort of we didn't have a lot of equipment, you know, so we just sort of being quite experimental. So yeah, it was a big. I mean, obviously we had tracks which which we're still paying publishing for, but which reflected the sort of certain Wire sound. But I think people picked up on. We never kind of.
Oh, they actually got in touch.
Well,
with you, did they?
yeah, we still pay royalties to Gilbert, but we never really sort of hid the fact that they were an influence, and it kind of
So
started.
that was your kind of direction you had in mind.
I just think it sort of came out in interviews. You know, it sounds a bit like Wire. Well, it would do, because that's what we kind of ripped off.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sort of, and you know, we all do it. We do it, all musicians rip it other bands off, but it's not so obvious as we do it. And it started with that sort of plagiarism sort of thing. You know, I mean, Oasis were doing it. They sounded like T-Rex.
Yeah.
You know, we sounded a bit like Wire. So it was. But we just got
Jam
stung
did it
for it.
with the Beatles, I suppose, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. You know, we got stung for it.
So where was the band at then? Did you start doing some gigs and recording and
Sorry?
Elastica? What was the you said the band had got together, you got your set together and all that, and did you have a lot of success straight off? Or?
We I mean we kind of we sort of plugged in here and there, you know, doing a few little gigs. We got a few good supports. We supported Kingmaker. Do you remember Kingmaker with Loz Hardy? Was it Hardy? And we did a few gigs with Kingmaker. We did a band called Kinky Machine. So we were just getting quite good supports, you know, doing that M25 circuit, which is a lot of bands do, just going around Bedford.
What, the raves?
Bedford, yeah, just getting lost, just going around. You know, playing Reading and Bedford and stuff like that. But the first single came out. We did Stutter, did limited edition, straight in 1,000 copies.
Were you signed then?
Well, we signed a gentleman's agreement, handshake in the Good Mixer with Steve Lamacq. So we kind of, it was the sort of we'll put your record out, Deceptive Records. You know, you pay for it, we'll put it out. This is the kind of classic indie record way of doing things now. Yeah. So that's how it kind of, there was no kind of a signed sort of, it's like
10 album deal.
No, 10 album deal. But then of course what happened then was we got all the then we did it.
Yeah.
We got all the majors were sort of then hunting us down. So we kind of hung on for a long time. You know, we were broke for ages. Just really hung on until we kind of decided to go with Geffen.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
we kind of hung in there long enough, but we were just about to sign. When we were about to sign, it was that delayed things again. That's when Kurt shot himself, so it was all like Geffen was all in turmoil. And are we going to sign? Are we not going to sign? Have we cocked it up with the other labels? But it all came out, you know, in the wash. But signing to Geffen, that what they were. Unknown to us was that they'd want us in America a lot, you know. So we did like 5 tours in 1 year of America at one point. Come back, do the washing, you know, pay the pay the bills, feed the cat. Not that I've got a cat, but you know.
It's notoriously difficult to break America as well, isn't it? So how did it all go when you?
It was good.
You signed to them?
It was good. I mean,
I
loved
you got
it.
them behind you. So
Yeah. I think that's why it was good. I mean, we did Lollapalooza, which was known as our A&R man out there was a guy called Mark Cates. So they nicknamed it Cato Palooza. It had like Rage Against the Machine on it. It had Hole, Beck, Sonic Youth. So it was a kind of Geffen sort of, set list, if you like. Yeah. But we toured it all the way around, East Coast to West Coast, all the way through the middle and back again. And then, the kind of arse end of nowhere, turkey gizzards on the bar, sort of. What are we doing here? Sort of places, but good. No regrets. When you're younger, you can do all those things. You just do it and do it. We'll just do another tour. We'll do another tour. Yeah,
cool. Well, let's play another song on your journey. What are you going to play now? New Order.
We're going to play some New Order. I mean, the reason we're playing for this track was it was like my first 12-inch, really. First 12, which I had to have. I was a bit late getting into the. Joy Division, really. It was. I hadn't heard Blue Monday, or if I had, I didn't recognise the fact that I had. And it was this It was True Faith that sort of made me start thinking about. I'd love this electronic sound, the combination of the guitars and the sound, and also the video was brilliant. There were hardly in it. It was just a load of Oompa Loompas jumping around. So it was, for me, as being a kid, it was brilliant. It's what I wanted. It's what I wanted to hear.